2 in the morning, dead asleep in my tent on land my grandfather bled for in World War II. Then, wham! I'm blinded by police flashlights while some woman in a white Escalade screams about vagrant camps destroying property values. 3 squad cars. 3, because Veronica Ashworth, self-appointed queen of the neighboring HOA, convinced them I was running some kind of homeless encampment. The crunch of gravel under heavy boots surrounded my tent. Sharp radio static mixed with the smell of dying campfire embers and cold lake air. "Ma'am, he's got a deed," one officer muttered after I stumbled out with paperwork. You should have seen Veronica's face when they realized she'd called the cavalry on a man camping legally on his own 40 acres. But here's what really gets me. Turns out this witch and her HOA had been stealing from my family for 8 years. What would you do if Karen's called cops on you for existing on your own property? Where are you watching from tonight? Bet some of you recognize this nightmare. Let me back up. My name's Garrett, and that 40-acre ranch, been in my family since 1957, when my grandfather Frank came home from the Pacific with shrapnel in his leg and fire in his belly. Used his GI Bill to buy land nobody wanted, raw scrub brush with a natural spring. 30 years later, Frank had built paradise. That spring-fed lake became our family's crown jewel. Crystal clear water, perfect for fishing. His calloused hands taught 7-year-old me to cast from the weathered dock. "Never let anyone push you off this land, boy," he whispered before he died. "This place is worth fighting for." These days, I swing hammers for construction crews, but weekends belong to the lake. My tent, Frank's dented coffee percolator, sunrise painting the water gold, pure therapy after my divorce last year. No lawyers, no drama, just peace. Then Meadowbrook Estates sprouted next door like a suburban cancer. Suddenly my quiet sanctuary was surrounded by McMansions and their HOA overlord, Veronica Ashworth. Picture the worst Karen stereotype come to life. 55, white Escalade, perfectly coiffed hair that probably costs more than my monthly rent. She smiles while stabbing you in the back, drops phrases like "people like that" and community standards like verbal napalm. The war started 6 months ago. I'm grilling fish by the lake when those designer heels start clicking across my dock. Her perfume hits my nostrils before she does. Sharp, artificial, clashing with honest campfire smoke. "Garrett, right?" Fake smile, clipboard ready. "I need you to register these camping activities with our community board." "Your board?" I laugh. "Lady, this is my land. Check the deed." Her smile turns reptilian. "Well, your activities are affecting our property values. That smoke drifts into our development. And honestly, having someone living in a tent next door doesn't exactly scream upscale neighborhood." "Living in a tent?" My blood pressure spikes. "I camp on weekends, on property my grandfather died defending." "I'm sure he was very patriotic," she says, venom dripping from every word. "But times change. We're filing complaints with the county about these illegal camping operations, air quality violations, potential health hazards, noise ordinances." She hands me a formal notice. "You have 30 days to cease all overnight activities or face legal action." I stare at this woman standing on my dock, on my property, threatening me with my own government. The brass on this witch is astronomical. "Get off my land," I tell her. "Or what?" She smirks. "You'll call the police?" That night, lying in my tent listening to loons across the water, I Google Meadowbrook's development plans. Holy hell. Their future amenities section shows my lake marked as community water feature. They want my land for their playground. Anonymous complaints start flooding county offices within days. Unsanitary conditions, illegal structures, environmental hazards. 15 complaints in 2 weeks, all traced to the same IP address. Guess whose? But here's what Veronica doesn't know. Frank didn't just teach me fishing. He taught me warfare. Pacific theater, island hopping, fighting enemies who thought Americans were soft. He used to say, "Know your enemy's weaknesses before they know yours." Time to do some reconnaissance. That weekend, sipping coffee from Frank's old percolator as morning mist rises off the lake, I realize this isn't about camping regulations or property values. This is about money. Big money. My 40 acres of pristine lakefront handed down through blood and sacrifice, sitting in the crosshairs of suburban greed. Veronica Ashworth picked the wrong veteran's grandson to mess with. 2 weeks later, I'm enjoying Saturday morning coffee when a White County truck rumbles up my driveway. Out steps this guy in a hard hat carrying the dreaded clipboard of bureaucratic doom. My gut clenches. Government showing up unannounced never ends well. "Garrett Mitchell? Ron Kowalski, County Health Inspector. Got complaints about illegal camping facilities." 15 complaints, he says. 15. about me camping alone on my own damn property. Someone claimed I'm running an unsanitary campground operation with air quality violations from campfire smoke. The brass on these people. But then Ron removes his hard hat and, holy shit, it's Tommy Kowalski's older brother from high school. We used to tackle each other into mud puddles during football practice. Ronnie? Jesus, you look official as hell in that getup. His whole demeanor shifts. This is awkward, man. These complaints are obviously bullshit. Your setup's cleaner than most people's backyards. He glances around my spotless campsite, Frank's decades-old fire ring, my military neat gear arrangement. Want to know something interesting? All 15 came from the same computer, same IP address. My brain starts connecting dots. That's got to be illegal, right? Filing false reports? Happens constantly with HOAs, Ron says, showing me his phone screen full of complaint details. They weaponize bureaucracy, hoping to bury people in paperwork. Most folks don't fight back because they don't know how. He lowers his voice conspiratorially. But every complaint creates a paper trail. Government has to show their work if you ask nice. Back in my construction days, I learned that documentation beats hearsay every single time. Ron's giving me gold here, the kind of ammunition that wins legal battles. 20 minutes later, I'm at the county courthouse with $23 and a Freedom of Information Act request. The clerk, Martha, looks like she's processed 1,000 of these. HOA trouble? She asks knowingly. Apparently this happens enough that county workers recognize the pattern. Back at my campsite, I spread the evidence across my camp table like a general planning an invasion. 15 complaints between March 15th and April 2nd, all from IP 192.168.1247, all using copy-paste language about public health hazards. But here's where Veronica screwed herself. 3 complaints were filed on days I wasn't even camping. She got so excited playing government puppet master that she reported phantom activities. In legal terms, that's filing false reports. In regular terms, that's perjury. The afternoon breeze carries the sweet smell of impending victory across the lake. That evening, grilling bass over my environmentally hazardous campfire, I dive into online research about HOA overreach. Jesus Christ, this stuff's an epidemic. Suburban dictators drunk on petty power, using county agencies like personal attack dogs against anyone who doesn't worship their manicured paradise. But knowledge is ammunition, and I'm loading up. Monday morning brings a call to the county commissioner's office. Turns out they've seen this movie before. Always the same script. File a dozen anonymous complaints. Overwhelm the target with bureaucratic harassment. Hope they surrender or relocate. False reports are actually misdemeanor charges, the assistant explains. And if you can prove malicious intent, that becomes criminal harassment. Most people don't realize they can file counter-complaints. Counter-complaints. Music to my ears. That weekend, setting up my tent in the exact same spot where Frank first taught me to fish, I noticed something that makes my blood boil. Fresh tire tracks in the mud near my dock. Wide, expensive treads, Escalade-sized. Someone's been conducting surveillance on my property when I'm not here. I photograph everything with my phone. Tire impressions, disturbed grass, even what looks like designer high-heel marks in the soft earth near my fire ring. Veronica's been playing private investigator, gathering evidence for her persecution campaign. The crunch of gravel under those expensive tires echoes in my memory. She's violated my property to build her case against me camping on my property. The irony would be hilarious if it wasn't so infuriating. Sunday morning, sipping coffee from Frank's dented percolator while watching mist rise off the lake like ghosts of better times, I make a decision. This isn't about camping regulations or property values anymore. This is about protecting family legacy from suburban colonizers who think money trumps blood and sacrifice. Frank didn't fight island hopping across the Pacific so his grandson could be bullied off his own land by some HOA princess with too much time and too little sense. Time to stop playing defense. Time to show Veronica Ashworth what happens when you declare war on the wrong family. Peace lasted exactly 3 weeks. That's when my neighbor Jim calls with the kind of news that makes your coffee taste like ash. Garrett, check the community center website. They're having some kind of meeting about you tomorrow night. I pull up Meadowbrook's page, and there it is. Emergency Public Safety Meeting, Environmental Threats in Our Community. The smell of bureaucratic ambush fills my kitchen. Friday night, I arrive 20 minutes early to find the parking lot already swarming with luxury vehicles. My dusty pickup looks like a turd in a jewelry store between a BMW and Mercedes. Perfect. Inside, the community center buzzes with nervous energy. Veronica's got a full PowerPoint setup like she's briefing the Pentagon instead of bitching about camping. The fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across her perfectly applied makeup. I grab a back row seat and casually hit record on my phone. My old foreman taught me this trick. People reveal their true colors when they think nobody's keeping score. "Good evening," Veronica begins, voice dripping with fake concern. "We're addressing a serious threat to community safety and property values." Click. First slide. My campsite, photographed with a telephoto lens like I'm some kind of terrorist compound. The violation of privacy makes my jaw clench. This unauthorized camping operation creates environmental hazards and attracts undesirable elements. Click. Second slide shows my campfire, but something's wrong. The smoke looks unnaturally thick and menacing, definitely photoshopped. I've seen enough construction photos to spot digital manipulation. Then comes slide 3, and I nearly laugh out loud. She's labeled my cooler as a waste disposal facility and my gear bag as accumulated debris. Even the HOA sheep look uncomfortable with this theatrical bullshit. "Property surveys indicate dangerous proximity to community boundaries," she continues, "potentially violating setback requirements." That's my cue. I stand up. "Ma'am, I'd like speaking time." The room goes cemetery quiet. Veronica's smile freezes like ice cream in winter. "This is a presentation, not a public forum." "Actually," comes a voice from the front, "any citizen can request speaking time at community meetings under state law." I turn to see County Commissioner Bradley, unexpected backup I didn't know I had. Veronica looks like she just swallowed a live fish. "Of course we welcome all perspectives," she recovers, but her voice cracks slightly. I walk to the front, phone still recording, and pull out Frank's 1962 property survey. Let's clarify some inaccuracies. According to official county records, my camping area sits 200 feet from any property line. Not dangerous, legally compliant. Murmurs ripple through the crowd like wind through wheat. Second, these photos are digitally altered. I hold up my phone showing the comparison. Notice the unnaturally dark smoke in slide 2. In legal terms, that's evidence tampering. Veronica's face flushes red. I absolutely resent. Third, I continue, channeling Frank's wartime calm, I have documentation proving these complaints constitute coordinated harassment, including 3 filed on dates when no camping occurred. Commissioner Bradley perks up. Several HOA members start whispering urgently. Finally, I have evidence someone trespassed on my property to gather this intelligence. Tire tracks and footprints matching vehicles in tonight's parking lot. The room explodes in uncomfortable murmurs. 3 middle section HOA members look genuinely horrified. Apparently they thought they were fighting genuine threats, not participating in suburban warfare. After Veronica's presentation implodes spectacularly, those same 3 approach me outside. The crisp evening air carries the sweet scent of victory. "Mr. Mitchell, we had no idea about the exaggerations," says Carol, a retired teacher with honest eyes. "Veronica told us you were running a commercial operation." Dave, an accountant type, nods vigorously. "What we saw tonight doesn't match her board presentations at all." The third member, Susan, looks embarrassed enough to crawl under a rock. "There's been whispers about HOA finances, expensive contracts going to board members' families, money disappearing from reserves. Some of us are starting to ask hard questions." Driving home with windows down, cool lake air mixing with the satisfaction of successful reconnaissance, I realize something crucial. This isn't just about my camping. Veronica's running a corruption operation, and I just found the cracks in her foundation. Frank always said the best intelligence comes from enemy soldiers who realize they're fighting for the wrong cause. Tonight, I recruited 3 defectors from inside Veronica's own ranks. The crunch of gravel under my tires sounds like victory as I pull into my driveway. But this is just the beginning. Veronica showed her hand tonight. Doctored evidence, public lies, criminal trespassing. She's escalating because she's desperate. Time to find out why. Monday morning kicks me in the teeth before I finish my first coffee. County code enforcement rolls up my driveway. White truck, official plates, and that universal government expression of "your peaceful day just died." Out steps Maria Santos with her clipboard of doom. Behind her, clicking across my gravel in designer heels like some suburban Grim Reaper, comes Veronica. The morning air suddenly smells like expensive perfume mixed with bureaucratic bullshit. "Mr. Mitchell, code enforcement. Reports of unpermitted structures creating public safety hazards." I gesture at Frank's fishing shed, the same weathered building that's weathered everything from blizzards to tornadoes since 1962. That old thing, been standing longer than most of these McMansions. "Age doesn't matter," Veronica snaps. "Current safety codes require modern permits. This ramshackle structure could collapse and kill someone." Maria shoots Veronica a look that could freeze hell. "Ma'am, I conduct the inspections here." We trudge toward the shed, my boots crunching familiar gravel, while Veronica's heels tap out an annoying rhythm behind us. Maria examines Frank's solid timber construction, hand-forged hinges, tongue and groove siding that modern builders can't afford to replicate. Someone filed for emergency demolition, Maria whispers, claims imminent structural failure. She glances at the rock-solid building. This look dangerous to you? Absolutely, Veronica declares. Asbestos, lead paint, probably harboring rodents and insects. That's when lightning strikes my brain. I sprint back to the house and dig through Frank's sacred filing cabinet, the fireproof fortress where he kept everything that mattered. Military discharge papers, property deeds, and buried underneath like buried treasure, the original building permit. Here, I pant, handing Maria the yellowed document. March 15th, 1962, County Inspector William Hayes. Maria's eyes widen. Holy shit, excuse me, this structure's grandfathered under county code. Pre-1970 permits remain valid unless actual safety violations exist. She examines Frank's craftsmanship again. This isn't going anywhere for another 60 years. Veronica's face cycles through disbelief, fury, and finally desperate panic. That permit's obviously forged. Nobody keeps 60-year-old paperwork. Military families do, I reply. Frank saved every important document from birth to death. Combat veterans don't throw away anything that might save their ass later. As Maria documents the legitimate permit, Veronica retreats to her Escalade for a frantic phone call. I catch fragments through her open window. Emergency orders and county commissioner and make this disappear now. This feels like targeted harassment, Maria says quietly. False emergency reports waste taxpayer money. You should file complaints. After they leave, I sit in Frank's shed among his fishing tackle and faded photographs, holding his Purple Heart while examining the permit more carefully. That's when I notice something tucked behind the framed certificate. A manila envelope marked, "For Garrett, important." Inside, Frank's shaky handwriting on yellow legal paper. Boy, if you're reading this, the vultures finally came for our land. Had development people sniffing around last year asking strange questions about water rights and underground surveys? Told them to pound sand, but money makes people dangerous. Keep all the paperwork. Trust nobody in expensive suits. Check the original property deed. There's more to this place than camping and fishing. They want something specific, and it ain't the view. My hands tremble as Frank's warning sinks in. He knew this war was coming. The old bastard prepared for battle from beyond the grave. The afternoon sun slants through the shed's dusty windows as I research grandfathered building codes online. My phone buzzes with a text from an unknown number. Last warning, back off or face serious consequences. I actually laugh out loud. Anonymous threats mean Veronica's losing, not winning. Desperate people make sloppy moves, and sloppy moves leave evidence trails. I screenshot the threat, add it to my growing pile of Veronica's mistakes. Then I pull out Frank's original property deed, the one from 1957 that I've never really studied carefully. What I find makes my coffee taste like battery acid. The deed doesn't just cover surface rights. It includes mineral rights, timber rights, and most importantly, water rights extending underground for a half-mile radius. That natural spring feeding my lake, it also feeds something else. I grab my laptop and pull up the county assessor's map. Frank's water rights extend directly underneath Meadowbrook Estates. Every fountain, every irrigation system, every drop of water feeding their manicured paradise legally belongs to me. For 8 years, they've been stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of water from my family. The crunch of gravel under Veronica's retreating tires echoes in my memory as pieces fall into place. This isn't about camping violations or property values. This is about water theft, and Veronica knows I'm one Google search away from discovering her HOA's been built on a foundation of lies. Frank's final words whisper through the shed. They want something specific. Now I know what. That night, Frank's letter burns in my brain like a fever. Check the original property deed. There's more to this place than camping and fishing. At 3 a.m., I surrender to insomnia and brew coffee strong enough to resurrect the dead. By dawn, I'm haunting the county clerk's office with Frank's deed and a gut full of suspicions. Martha recognizes me immediately, her tired eyes brightening with curiosity. Back for more HOA warfare? Maybe something bigger. I need to understand exactly what Frank owned. She punches in his parcel number and her coffee mug freezes halfway to her lips. Jesus Christ, your grandfather didn't buy land, he bought an empire. Mineral rights, timber rights, and underground water rights extending. She scrolls frantically. Half a mile in every direction. The words hit me like a sledgehammer to the chest. What does that actually mean? It means every drop of water originating from your spring belongs to you legally, even flowing underground to other properties. Her ancient monitor displays an aerial map with a blue line snaking across the landscape. Follow that underground flow. The blue line runs like a vein directly under Meadowbrook Estates. My hands start shaking. Are you telling me every fountain, every sprinkler system, every decorative water feature in that bougie development feeds off your spring? They've been stealing your water for 8 years. The fluorescent lights overhead buzz like angry wasps as my universe shifts on its axis. The sharp chemical smell of toner from the copying machine mixes with the metallic taste of pure shock. How much water? Martha's fingers fly across her keyboard. Municipal records show 50,000 gallons monthly for landscape features. At current rates, her calculator clicks rapidly. Roughly $400,000 in theft since construction. $400,000. Stolen from Frank's legacy while I camped innocently above the crime scene. Gets worse, Martha mutters, diving deeper into permit files. Original development approval shows water rights pending resolution stamped in red ink. They built on conditional permits that were never finalized. She slides the document across her counter. Someone was supposed to secure independent wells or purchase easements before breaking ground. Instead, they just didn't. Who approved this clusterfuck? County Commissioner Bradley. The same Bradley who mysteriously appeared at Veronica's hit job meeting. Pieces slammed together like freight trains colliding. One final bombshell, Martha says, her voice dropping to a whisper. The development company, silent partner listed as V. Ashworth Holdings, LLC. The room spins. Veronica isn't just some power-hungry HOA tyrant. She's co-owner of a multi-million-dollar development built on stolen water. My water, Frank's water. Every harassment complaint, every fake emergency, every midnight police call suddenly makes perfect sense. She's not protecting property values, she's protecting criminal profits. Driving home with a folder full of nuclear evidence, I see my peaceful lake with new eyes. That crystal water isn't just family heritage, it's the source of the biggest theft in county history. Frank's weathered hands teaching me to fish from that dock echo in my memory. The old bastard knew they'd come for the water eventually. He just never imagined they'd steal it first and harass his grandson later. My phone buzzes. Last chance. Sell the property or face serious consequences. This time I laugh until my sides hurt. Veronica's not making threats. She's making confessions. Every desperate text proves she knows I'm holding evidence that could destroy her empire and send her to federal prison. The sweet smell of lake air through my truck windows carries the scent of victory. Frank left me more than land, he left me justice. Time to serve it ice cold. By 8 a.m., I'm speed dialing Morrison & Associates, the property rights firm that saved my buddy's ass in a boundary dispute. The receptionist sounds bored until I drop the magic words, water rights theft and federal crime. Suddenly I'm transferred faster than a hot potato. Jake Morrison, you mentioned stolen water rights? I dump everything, 8 years of theft, bogus permits, HOA corruption. Jake's silence stretches so long I check if my phone died. Holy shit, he finally whispers. This is a RICO case waiting to happen. Water theft, conspiracy, public corruption. We're talking criminal charges and massive damages. His voice gains steam. I work contingency. No win, no fee. Get your ass down here now. 3 hours later, Jake's spreading my evidence across his conference table like a poker player with 4 aces. The sharp smell of legal documents mixes with his ridiculously expensive coffee as he photographs every page. Water Rights Law 101, he begins, pulling up precedent cases. Western states follow first in time, first in right. Your grandfather's 1957 claim beats everything built afterward. You're the senior rights holder, period. He clicks through legal databases while I scribble notes. Here's the beautiful part about water law. It's property theft, plain and simple. Every gallon they've used without permission is stealing, and courts love quantifiable damages. Conservative estimate for damages? Jake grins like a shark. Back use fees, attorney costs, punitive damages, probably north of $1 million. But here's the nuclear option. We file liens against their common areas. Pay up or watch us auction off their precious fountains. The afternoon sun streams through his windows as he outlines our 3-pronged attack. Federal court for water theft, state court for harassment, county level for permit fraud, legal death by 1,000 cuts. We'll need expert witnesses, he continues. hydrogeologist for underground flow proof, forensic accountant for damage calculations, maybe a corruption specialist for the permit angle. Think your veteran buddies can crowdfund about 50 grand? That evening, the VFW hall buzzes with the kind of energy that wins wars. 23 veterans from Vietnam to Afghanistan pack the room, pickup trucks and Harleys filling the parking lot. The air smells like black coffee and barely contained rage. "Let me get this straight," growls Tom Brennan, a Marine who left his leg in Fallujah. "This HOA princess steals from a veteran's family while calling cops on his grandson for camping? The collective response could power a small nuclear reactor. Here's what we need," I continue, channeling Frank's command presence. "Legal fund, surveillance network, character witnesses. Time to show suburban royalty what happens when you mess with military families." Sarah Chen, former Army logistics, raises her hand. "I can organize rotating surveillance, document trespassing and harassment. Military precision beats HOA scheming every damn time. Within 2 hours, we've assembled a war machine. Legal fund established through GoFundMe, volunteer surveillance shifts scheduled, media contacts activated. Mrs. Patterson from the weekly paper agrees to investigate the permit corruption. Apparently, county commissioners make her investigative instincts tingle." The next morning brings a call from Dave, the accountant who jumped ship at Veronica's disastrous meeting. "Garrett, we audited HOA finances after that shit show presentation. Found some creative accounting." His voice carries professional outrage. "Veronica's husband's company has received over $200,000 in contracts over 3 years. Landscaping, maintenance, security, all at prices that would make a mob boss blush. 200 grand in embezzlement? Conservative estimate. Money that should have funded reserves and infrastructure improvements." He pauses dramatically. "We're calling an emergency board meeting. Want independent auditors to examine every contract." Perfect. While we attack from outside with water theft charges, internal resistance undermines her from within. Classic pincer movement. Frank would be proud. That weekend, I established my command post in the exact spot where Veronica first declared war. My tent sits defiantly on land that's been in my family longer than her precious development has existed. Evening campfire crackles peacefully as I review our assembled forces. Legal team locked and loaded with federal firepower. Veteran network providing intelligence and muscle. Internal HOA rebellion gaining momentum. Media sharks circling for corruption blood. The stolen water reflects sunset colors as I sip coffee from Frank's dented percolator. Tomorrow we launch the counteroffensive that'll teach Veronica Ashworth why you never start a war with people who've actually fought in real ones. She thinks she's been playing hardball with some simple construction worker who camps on weekends. She has no idea she just picked a fight with a man who inherited 60 years of military wisdom and 8 years' worth of justified rage. Time to show this suburban dictator what real warfare looks like. The counteroffensive begins on a Tuesday. By Wednesday morning, Veronica knows she's under siege. It starts with Jake filing our federal water rights lawsuit, 47 pages of legal napalm demanding $1.2 million in damages plus immediate injunctive relief. The county courthouse buzzes with clerks photocopying what one calls the biggest theft case in 20 years. Veronica learns about the lawsuit the same way everyone else does. From Mrs. Patterson's front page story in the weekly paper, local HOA accused of $1 million water theft. The article includes aerial photos showing underground water flow from my spring directly into Meadowbrook's fountain systems. My phone starts ringing at 6 a.m. Thursday. Unknown number, but I answer anyway. "You have no idea what you're dealing with," Veronica's voice hisses through the speaker. "Withdraw that ridiculous lawsuit or you'll regret it." "Actually, I know exactly what I'm dealing with," I reply calmly. "A woman who's been stealing my family's water for 8 years while filing false police reports. That water doesn't belong to you anymore. Times change, property laws evolve. Lady, I've got the 1957 water rights claim and you've got jack shit. See you in federal court." I hang up and immediately call Jake to report the attempted intimidation. He sounds positively giddy. "Perfect. Keep taking her calls and recording them. Intimidating witnesses is another felony charge we can add to the pile." By Friday, Veronica's desperation reaches new heights. I'm replacing a rotted board on Frank's dock when I hear the distinctive rumble of expensive engines. 3 black SUVs pull up my driveway, not county vehicles, private security with Ashworth Holdings logos. 6 men in tactical gear climb out like they're raiding a terrorist compound instead of harassing a guy fixing his dock. The smell of diesel exhaust mixes with morning lake mist as they spread across my property. Sir, you need to cease all activities on this property immediately, announces their leader, a steroid-enhanced gorilla wearing sunglasses despite the overcast sky. This is my property, I reply, hammer still in hand. You're trespassing. Ma'am Ashworth has obtained a preliminary injunction requiring you to vacate pending litigation resolution. I pull out my phone and dial Jake's number on speaker. Jake, I've got 6 armed men on my property claiming Veronica got an injunction ordering me to leave my own land. Bullshit! Jake's voice crackles through the speaker. No judge signed that order. We would have received notice. Those men are trespassing and possibly committing armed intimidation. The security team leader's confidence wavers as Jake continues. I'm calling the sheriff right now. Anyone remaining on that property in 10 minutes faces arrest for criminal trespass and intimidation. They retreat faster than French cavalry, engines roaring as they disappear down my driveway. But the message is clear. Veronica's playing by different rules now. That afternoon brings a new low. I return from town to find my campsite destroyed. Tent slashed, gear scattered, cooler overturned and emptied. Even Frank's old coffee percolator lies dented beside the fire ring. But here's where Veronica's desperation betrays her intelligence. She forgot about the trail cameras Sarah Chen helped me install around the property perimeter. The footage is pure gold. Veronica's precious son, Brandon, 22 years old and dumb as a bag of hammers, creeping through my campsite at 2 a.m. like some suburban ninja. The infrared cameras capture everything. Him slashing my tent with a hunting knife, dumping my gear, even taking a leak on my fire ring for good measure. I email the footage to Jake, the sheriff, and Mrs. Patterson simultaneously. Criminal destruction of property, trespassing, vandalism. Brandon just handed us another felony charge while Mommy Dearest faces federal prosecution. Saturday morning brings the sweetest sound in the world. Veronica's phone ringing my number. You bastard, she sobs into the phone. That's my son you're trying to destroy. Your son destroyed my property on camera. I'm just sharing the evidence with law enforcement. He's just a kid, he doesn't understand. He's 22 and committed multiple felonies. Maybe you should have raised him better instead of teaching him that rules don't apply to people with money. The line goes quiet except for her ragged breathing. What do you want? She finally whispers. Justice. Full restitution for 8 years of water theft. Your resignation from the HOA board. Public apology to my family. And criminal prosecution for everyone involved in this conspiracy. That's impossible. The water usage was legal. Veronica, I have your son on camera destroying my property. I have documentation of your embezzlement from HOA funds. I have recordings of you making threats. You're fucked 6 ways from Sunday and we both know it. Sunday evening, sitting beside my rebuilt campfire drinking coffee from a new percolator, I watch the sunset paint my stolen water golden. The trail cameras blink reassuringly from their hidden positions, and my phone buzzes with updates from the veteran surveillance network. Veronica's empire is crumbling. Time for the final offensive. Monday morning explodes like a grenade in Veronica's perfect world. Jake calls at 7 a.m. with news that makes my coffee taste like victory champagne. State Attorney General's office just opened a criminal investigation into Ashworth Holdings. Turns out your water theft case triggered a deeper look into county permit corruption. His voice crackles with excitement. They found wire transfers from Veronica's company to Commissioner Bradley's campaign fund. Classic quid pro quo bribery. How much money? 50 grand over 2 years, always right before crucial permit votes. Bradley's looking at federal corruption charges and Veronica's looking at RICO violations. The dominoes are falling faster than I can count them. By Tuesday, Veronica's playing her final desperate cards. Anonymous social media accounts start spreading rumors about my mental instability and dangerous veteran with PTSD. Facebook posts claim I'm running an illegal militia training camp at my lake property. The psychological warfare would be insulting if it wasn't so pathetically transparent. Attacking a veteran's mental health, that's like poking a hornet's nest with a stick soaked in gasoline. Sarah Chen and the VFW network counterattack within hours. Screenshots of every fake post, IP address traces linking them back to Meadowbrook computers, even video evidence of Veronica's husband posting lies from his home office. The internet never forgets, and veterans never forgive attacks on their brothers. Wednesday brings a new level of stupid evil. I'm reviewing legal documents at my kitchen table when a Child Protective Services caseworker shows up at my door. Mr. Mitchell, I'm Rebecca Torres, CPS. We received reports of unsafe conditions involving minor children on this property. My blood turns to ice water. I don't have any children. I live alone. The complaint alleges you're operating an unlicensed child care facility in unsafe camping conditions. She consults her tablet. exposing minors to open fires, unsanitary water sources, potential wildlife dangers. Ma'am, that's completely fabricated. No children have ever been on this property except when neighbors bring their kids fishing. Rebecca looks around my obviously child-free property with growing confusion. These complaints came through our emergency hotline. Someone claimed immediate danger to multiple children. I pull out my phone and show her photos of my solitary camping setup. This is harassment, plain and simple. False reports to waste government resources and intimidate me during ongoing litigation. Her expression hardens as she realizes she's been weaponized by suburban terrorists. Filing false CPS reports is a felony, Mr. Mitchell. If you can prove malicious intent, we'll pursue charges. 20 minutes later, Rebecca leaves with a formal complaint against whoever filed the bogus reports. Another nail in Veronica's legal coffin. Thursday afternoon brings the most dangerous escalation yet. I'm replacing fence posts when my construction company supervisor, Pete Kowalski, Ron's cousin, calls with news that makes my hands shake. Garrett, someone called the company claiming you've been stealing tools and materials for personal projects. They want us to fire you and file criminal charges. That's complete bullshit, Pete. You know I'm honest as the day is long. Of course I know that, but they sent evidence, photos of construction materials around your property. His voice turns grim. Problem is, the photos are real. That's definitely our lumber and tools. My stomach drops as I realize what happened. The trail camera footage shows Brandon vandalizing my campsite, but it also shows him placing construction materials around my property. Materials he must have stolen from job sites and planted to frame me. Pete, I can prove those materials were planted. I have security footage showing when and how they got there. Thank God. Bring me everything tomorrow morning. This kind of setup job could have destroyed your career. Friday morning's revelation breaks the case wide open. Jake calls with news that changes everything. Forensic accountants found the smoking gun. Veronica's been embezzling HOA funds through her husband's shell companies for 3 years. But here's the beautiful part. She used embezzled money to pay for the harassment campaign against you. What do you mean? Private investigators, security teams, even payments to people for filing false complaints. She funded a criminal conspiracy with stolen HOA money. Jake's laughter sounds borderline maniacal. She literally paid for her own destruction using her neighbor's money. The irony is so perfect it hurts. Veronica embezzled from her own community to finance a war against my family, not knowing she was building the evidence trail that would destroy her empire. Saturday evening, I sit by my campfire reading updates from our growing army of allies. Federal prosecutors building RICO cases. State investigators unraveling permit corruption. County sheriffs preparing arrest warrants. HOA residents demanding Veronica's resignation and full financial audit. The stolen water reflects firelight as I sip coffee from my replacement percolator. Tomorrow brings the final battle, the public confrontation where Veronica's crimes get exposed before the entire community. Frank's voice whispers through the evening air. Sometimes the best victory is watching your enemies destroy themselves. Mission almost accomplished, old man. Monday night. County commissioners meeting. The community center parking lot looks like a small-town state fair. Every spot filled, cars parked on grass, news vans from 3 different stations setting up equipment. Word spreads fast when federal corruption charges are about to explode in public. I arrive 30 minutes early to find the place already packed. My veteran support crew occupies 2 full rows. Sarah Chen coordinating with military precision, Tom Brennan's wheelchair positioned for optimal intimidation factor, Ron Kowalski in his county uniform lending official credibility. Veronica sits in the front row surrounded by her remaining loyalists, but her usual confidence has cracked like cheap paint. Her designer suit can't hide the stress lines around her eyes or the way her hands shake when she thinks nobody's watching. Commissioner Bradley calls the meeting to order, his voice lacking its usual authority. Hard to project confidence when federal agents have been asking questions about your campaign finances. First item, public comment regarding ongoing property disputes in the Meadowbrook area. Veronica stands first, clipboard trembling in her manicured hands. Commissioners, we're here about frivolous lawsuits filed by a disgruntled neighbor seeking to profit from manufactured complaints. Her voice gains false strength as she launches into prepared remarks about vexatious litigation and abuse of legal system. She claims my water rights lawsuit represents opportunistic exploitation of technical permit issues. The county approved our development in good faith, she continues. These retroactive challenges threaten every property owner's security. Mr. Mitchell is using frivolous claims to extort money from hardworking families. Murmurs ripple through the crowd, some supportive, others skeptical. Time for truth to meet fiction in public combat. Jake Morrison stands, federal case files in hand. Commissioners, I represent Mr. Mitchell in this matter. May I present evidence to clarify the actual facts? Bradley nods reluctantly. Proceed. First, these aren't frivolous claims. Jake projects the 1957 water rights deed onto the room's screen. Mr. Mitchell's grandfather held senior water rights decades before Meadowbrook existed. This isn't technical. It's theft of $400,000 over 8 years. Audible gasps from the audience. Veronica's face flushes red. Second, federal investigators have uncovered systematic corruption in the permit approval process. He displays wire transfer records on screen, $50,000 in payments from Ashworth Holdings to Commissioner Bradley's campaign fund, always preceding crucial permit votes. The room erupts. Bradley pounds his gavel ineffectively as reporters surge forward with cameras rolling. Third, Jake continues over the chaos, we have evidence of criminal harassment, including destruction of property by Mrs. Ashworth's son, documented on security footage. He plays Brandon's vandalism video on the big screen, the kid's face clearly visible as he slashes my tent and pisses on my fire ring. Several people in the audience actually boo. Finally, Jake delivers the kill shot. Forensic audits reveal Mrs. Ashworth embezzled over $200,000 from HOA reserves to fund this harassment campaign. Dead silence. Then bedlam. Veronica leaps to her feet. Those allegations are completely false. This is character assassination designed to... Ma'am, interrupts a voice from the back. FBI Special Agent Williams walks down the center aisle, badge visible, flanked by 2 state investigators. Veronica Ashworth, you're under arrest for conspiracy, wire fraud, and violation of federal racketeering statutes. The crowd goes absolutely insane. Camera flashes explode like strobe lights. Commissioners scramble for exits. Veronica's remaining supporters flee like rats from a sinking ship. You have the right to remain silent, Agent Williams continues as handcuffs click around Veronica's wrists. Anything you say can and will be used against you in federal court. This is insane! Veronica screams, designer composure completely shattered. I did nothing wrong. This man is destroying innocent families. Ma'am, you embezzled community funds to pay for criminal harassment of a military veteran while stealing his family's water rights. You're looking at 20 years in federal prison. As they escort her out in handcuffs, the community center erupts in applause. Tom Brennan starts a slow clap that builds to thunderous ovation. Even some of her former HOA supporters join in. Apparently discovering your leader is a criminal makes applauding her arrest feel pretty good. Commissioner Bradley tries to restore order, but Agent Williams approaches him next. Commissioner, we need to discuss your campaign finance records. Bradley's face goes white as moonlight. Mrs. Patterson from the newspaper pushes through the crowd with her ancient camera, snapping photos of handcuffed suburban royalty being stuffed into government vehicles. Mr. Mitchell, any comment on tonight's arrests? I stand slowly, looking out at faces filled with shock, vindication, and justice finally served. My grandfather fought fascists overseas so his family could live free on American soil. Tonight proves that when good people stand together, corruption loses and justice wins. The crowd roars approval as federal agents drive Veronica toward her new reality. Orange jumpsuits and concrete cells instead of designer suits and stolen water. Frank would be proud. 6 months later, I'm sitting on Frank's old dock watching sunrise paint the lake gold, legally confirmed as my water now and forever. The federal case wrapped up faster than anyone expected once Veronica started singing like a canary to reduce her sentence. The final settlement numbers still make me dizzy. $450,000 for 8 years of water theft, plus legal fees and punitive damages totaling another $600,000. Veronica's precious fountains got shut off permanently, and the HOA agreed to pay fair market rates for a legal easement going forward. Justice tastes sweeter than Frank's strongest coffee. Veronica herself got 18 months in federal prison for conspiracy and wire fraud. Her husband Drew pulled 2 years for money laundering through those inflated contracts. Brandon, the vandalism prince, pled guilty to destruction of property and got community service, fitting punishment for a spoiled brat who never learned consequences. Commissioner Bradley, 3 years federal time for bribery and corruption. Turns out our case opened floodgates. Investigators found he'd been selling permits to developers for a decade. The FBI called it the biggest municipal corruption case in state history. But the real victory isn't money or jail time, it's what happened to our community. The new HOA board elected after Veronica's arrest apologized publicly to my family. They presented me with a formal resolution honoring Frank's military service and acknowledging the injustice done to his legacy. Carol, the retired teacher who helped expose the financial fraud, now serves as president with actual transparency and accountability. The best part? They invited me to join the board as a consulting member. Me, the guy they tried to drive away for camping on his own land, now helping guide the community's future. Frank's laughter echoes across the water every time I think about that irony. With the settlement money, I established the Frank Mitchell Memorial Fund for Veteran Property Rights. Already helped 3 families fight HOA overreach in neighboring counties. Turns out suburban tyranny is epidemic, but so is the willingness to fight back when people know their rights. The annual Ranch Lake Conservation Festival launched last month with over 300 families attending. Kids learning to fish from the same dock where Frank taught me, veterans sharing stories around evening campfires, community coming together the way it should. Sarah Chen organized the whole thing with military efficiency, now serves as festival coordinator and my unofficial security chief. Mrs. Patterson won a state journalism award for her corruption investigation series. Her weekly paper became required reading across 3 counties after breaking the biggest scandal in local history. She jokes that retirement got a lot more interesting after meeting me. The lake itself has never looked better. With legal water usage agreements in place, we've restored the natural flow patterns and established a conservation easement protecting the wetlands. Environmental groups call it a model for sustainable development, proving you can have progress without theft. My camping weekends aren't lonely anymore. Veteran families regularly join me, kids roasting marshmallows while their parents swap war stories around Frank's rebuilt fire ring. The peaceful therapy I found here now serves dozens of families healing from their own battles. Last weekend, while showing a group of young soldiers how to cast from Frank's dock, I found something tucked inside his old tackle box, a final letter I'd somehow missed. Boy, if you're reading this, you won the war. Knew you would. Mitchell men don't retreat when family honor's at stake. Use what you learned to help others fight their battles. Make this place worth the sacrifice. His faded handwriting brought tears I wasn't ashamed to shed. Tonight, setting up my tent in the exact spot where Veronica first declared war, I listened to loons calling across water that legally belongs where it should. The trail cameras blink peacefully from their hidden positions, not for security anymore, just wildlife monitoring for the conservation program. My phone buzzes with a message from Jake Morrison about another water rights case 3 counties over. Seems word spreads when David beats Goliath in federal court. The sweet smell of honest campfire smoke drifts across Frank's Lake as I pour coffee from the percolator that replaced the one Brandon destroyed. Tomorrow brings new battles for new families, but tonight belongs to peace and the satisfaction of promises kept. Drop a comment with your HOA nightmare story. You're not alone in this fight. Subscribe for more David versus Goliath victories against corrupt systems that think money trumps justice. Share this with anyone fighting petty authorities who forgot that America belongs to people, not politicians. Frank's legacy lives on, one victory at a time.